Yeah. Hi, my name is Kate, and this is baby June, and today I will be reading The Arabic Quilt, An Immigrant Story by Aya Khalil. And I chose this book because my family immigrated from Lebanon in the 70s, and I loved this book because it had a lot of references to food. And food is very important to my family. We have a little store that my dad started and I now run in Cincinnati's Findlay Market, and we love to eat. So as per June here is showing you, food's very important to our family. Isn't it, June? Yeah, it is. So without further ado, I'd like to get us started on reading The Arabic Quilt. Kanzi, Habibti, you're going to be late for your first day of school, Mama calls. I'm coming, Mama. Kanzi stuffs her notebook in her backpack and quickly but carefully folds her quilt, the special one Tata made in Egypt. Breakfast is delicious. Egyptian fava beans, homemade French toast, and watermelon with fresh feta cheese and mint. Zachariah has watermelon juice dripping down his chin. He looks happy. I packed your favorite lunch for you, a kofta sandwich, Baba exclaims. Shukran, Baba, Kanzi says, but secretly she wishes her Baba would pack her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich instead. Her family has just moved to this town, and she doesn't know anyone. She doesn't want to be different. In the car, Mama sings along with the songs on the Arabic radio channel. When they pull up to the school, Kanzi turns down the volume. Mama gives her a confused look. Good luck today, Mama says. Bahabbak. I love you too, Kanzi responds. In class, Mrs. Hagen asks all the students to share their 3 facts about themselves. When it's Kanzi's turn, she says bravely, I am Egyptian American. I love to swim. I love to write poetry. Then she sits, looking down at her desk. At lunchtime, Kanzi is surprised when Mama walks through the door. Habibti, you forgot your lunchbox. Habibti? Like the Hobbit? Isn't your name Kanzi? Molly snickers. Her classmates laugh when they hear her as they walk to the cafeteria. Mrs. Hagen sees tears rolling down Kanzi's cheeks. What's wrong? She asks. Molly made fun of what my mama says, Kanzi replies. Oh, Kanzi, being bilingual is beautiful, says Mrs. Hagen. Don't let anyone make you feel ashamed. You are special. That night, as Mama puts leftover shorbat adas in Kanzi's lunchbox, Kanzi gently pats Mama's back. Can you please make me a turkey sandwich instead? Before bed, Kanzi writes a poem as she hugs her quilt, which smells like Tata's home. The next day, Molly says, Mrs. Hagen said I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I laughed at your mom's language. It sounded funny. It may sound funny to you, but that's only because you don't speak Arabic, Kanzi said. She feels a lump forming in her throat. My parents say that learning different languages makes a person smarter and kinder, she blurts out. Okay, whatever, Molly says, skipping away. Mrs. Hagen calls Kanzi to her desk after lunch. I found this notebook on the floor. It was open to a lovely poem, she says. I was describing my Tata's quilt, Kanzi says. When I visited her in Egypt, she gave it to me. My Tata only speaks Arabic. Mrs. Hagen smiles. That is special. I would love to see your quilt. Can I bring it to school, Kanzi asks. Sure, bring it tomorrow, Mrs. Hagen says. The next day, Kanzi unfolds her quilt in the front of the class. Her heart is pounding. This is my quilt that my Tata in Egypt made, she says. That's cool. I want to make a quilt like that, Deshawn says. Maybe we can all make one for our classroom, Claire shouts. Mrs. Hagen nods and smiles. On Friday, Mrs. Hagen makes an announcement. I have an exciting project for all of us to work on. Kanzi's mom is here to help us make a quilt of all of your names in Arabic. As Mama steps forward, Kanzi thinks how beautiful she looks. Shukran for welcoming me here, Mama says. Kanzi and I will write down your names in Arabic, and you will copy your name on your own quilt piece. Molly is not enthusiastic about the project. Who cares about Arabic? We live in America. My mom says we should only speak English. In response, Mrs. Hagen starts writing words on the board. Algebra, coffee, lemon, sugar. Does anyone know what these words have in common, she asks. They come from Arabic words, Kanzi whispers. Mrs. Hagen nods. Learning other languages besides the one we grew up with helps make the world a friendlier place. We can speak non-English languages and still be American. I wonder what my name looks like in Arabic, Brianna says. Kanzi and Mama write down everyone's name. Neat! Shukran, Amina exclaims. Everyone copies their Arabic names onto sheets of colored paper. Then they decorate their paper with glitter and jewels and place them on the table for glue to dry. On Monday morning, you will see a beautiful class quilt hanging in the hall, Mrs. Hagen tells them. Kanzi is nervous when the bell rings on. Monday morning and their kids file into school. What if the quilt didn't turn out nicely? The quilt hangs on the bulletin board outside of Mrs. Hagen's classroom. The colorful papers with their Arabic names have been cut into different shapes and sizes, and all the pieces are stapled together. Kanzi stands in awe, reading names in Arabic. Claire, Leah, Molly, Ivy, Jack, Lucas, Brianna, Chang, Deshawn, Sam, Angela, Lily, Amina. Teachers and older students stop to look at the names, trying to figure out whose name is whose. Wow, look at those beautiful letters. They're like drawings, they say. This was a really cool project, Kanzi. Shukran, Kanzi's classmates tell her. I'm sorry I made fun of you, says Molly. I didn't realize how important a different language is. Can you write my mom's name in Arabic? I want to give it to her as a gift. Okay, Kanzi says. Do you want to go swimming soon? I'd love to, Kanzi says, and Molly hugs her. Leaving class a week later, Kanzi stops to look at the Arabic quilt one last time. Right across from it, she is surprised to see another collage of names in a language she doesn't recognize. Those are my classmates' names in Japanese, Kerr says. Our teacher was inspired by your classroom's idea, and she asked me to help write everyone's name in Japanese. Aren't languages a beautiful thing? They can truly unite us. Kanzi smiles in agreement. In her room that night, Kanzi holds Teta's quilt tightly as she writes a poem for her parents. Shukran, Mama and Baba, for always encouraging me to be proud of speaking a different language and speaking it out loud. Languages can unite us together like a quilt. So I will always speak my languages without guilt. I will never be ashamed to speak in this language that is so unique. Bahibbak, Mama, Bahibbak, Baba. This book, The Arabic Quilt, was so special to me when I first read it. I really loved the story of a young immigrant family because it reminded me so much of my family coming here. Bye. This part's over. I just loved how this book really documented the challenges of coming to a new country, you know, with different customs and different traditions, that push-pull of wanting to feel like you belong and also honor where you come from. I can really relate especially to bringing new foods to my school and people asking me, like, what is that? I remember in particular people asking what hummus was and why I was bringing something that looked like paste or dog food. I was so embarrassed. So this really resonated with me as I was reading this story. I also love my name written in Arabic and was so proud of it. So I loved that they used the Arabic names in the book. All in all, I think this was a great story, and I'm so glad it's available at the library. My name is Kate Zaidan, and this is The Arabic Quilt, An Immigrant Story by Aya Khalil.